On City Breakfast, it's Pet Talk, Pet Talk, Pet Talk, Pet Talk, Pet Talk, Pet Talk, Pet Talk with Mathew Dickerson.
How you doing, Matt?
I'm going really well, actually.
Been tested yet? Have you had a butt up your nose?
I've never actually had a COVID test. I've been able to avoid it so far, Richard, so that's been fantastic.
Well, it's 7 minutes from now you can go and get a butt up your nose.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
What about a
There's
test,
a new
though?
test, though, that looks like a pregnancy test. It's called a rapid test.
Well, they need more of that. They need some breath testing. There's a bit of that going on in Singapore where you can just blow into almost like a breath test, random breath test on the side of the road. So, yeah, that's certainly one way we'll combat COVID-19 is have better testing regimes.
And faster.
Faster. It takes so long to get a test at the moment or a result back.
Yeah, well, I've been told, some of those who've had one shot, Matty, have been told, listen, we're going to just push you back, not 4 weeks, you're going to have to come back in 7 or 8 weeks because we're sending some of this stuff over the border or over the Great Dividing Range.
Yeah, a bit of a shame, isn't it? Obviously, they're more important than we are, Richard.
Yes, well, that's debatable, isn't it? 41 medals in total, Mathew Dickerson, 17 gold, 5 bronze and 5 silver and 19 bronze, none of which are made out of the metal that we talk about. Crazy, isn't it?
A little tiny bit. Each gold medal has to have 6 grams of actual gold, which is a bit different back in 1912. They were pure gold. Yeah, yep. That's right. It was. But that got a bit expensive. In today's terms, if it was pure gold, they'd be worth at least $13,000 each just in the metal itself. But obviously they're worth a lot more than that in sweat and tears.
What about the silver?
The silver ones, they're mostly silver because silver is about 80 times cheaper than gold, so you can get away with that, and bronze is the same.
Yeah, bronze. Yeah. Do you remember, I'm digressing before we get to this issue of recycle stuff on Tech Talk 2 with Matty Dickerson. Do you remember the first 50-cent coin that came out?
The round 50-cent coin.
It was a round one.
Yeah, I wasn't there when it came out, but I do remember growing up.
Yes, you were, you bloody liar.
Every now and again, you'd see a round 50-cent coin, and it was like, wow.
And it was more in value in the actual coin itself than the coin 50 cents.
Well, of course, many of the coins came out, they were actually worth value because they were made of something of value itself before finally the coins became to the point where the value of the metal inside them was negligible compared to the value of the face value.
So they dumped the round one and they brought out this whatever it is.
How many sides? Octagonal, is it? Is it 8 sides on that?
Octagonal, 10-sided thing. That's made of some other stuff. It's made of Marmite and blue tack.
That's right. Don't forget the blue tack.
Hey, your MacBook Pro, you say the cheapest Rolex in the flight to Tokyo costs more than the top prize handed out at the Olympics too. And winning an Olympic medal could be priceless for athletes. First, 556 grams of metal costs less than you think. Are we recycling something?
We are. The whole Olympic program has taken on an idea because it's in Japan, and Japan's been famous for a long time for electronics. The Olympic Committee took on this whole concept of let's make all of the medals, every single one of them, out of recycled electronics. And they thought that seemed like a good idea until they realised how many electronics they would need to actually gather. So they went out to the Japanese people and said, please donate everything you've got. So they got...
What, like a mobile muster?
Like a mobile muster on steroids, Richard. So they got 5 million cell phones. They got some other electronics, computers, that sort of thing. 47,000 tonnes of tech waste it took for them to gather enough together they can say, right, we can actually do what we promised to do now. Let's go and put these 5,000 medals together. So they gathered up all of that electronic waste. It ended up totaling about 30 kilograms of gold. They needed actual gold out of all the electronics. They had something like 2.2 tonnes of bronze, about 3.5 tonnes of silver. And with all that, they obviously put enough together to make all the medals. So the gold medals, we mentioned 6 grams of gold. They've also got to have 92.5% of silver in a gold medal. So they need a lot of silver to make all of that and the gold medals as well. So they put all that together, and that's where all those medals came from. Now, back in Vancouver in the Winter Olympics in 2010, that was the first time the Olympics had that, but they only needed about 1,000 medals for Vancouver Winter Olympics. Obviously not as many medals as the Summer Olympics, so that was a bit easier to do. I'm not sure if they knew, the organisers, just how big a task it would be, but that's fantastic to see all those electronics not in landfill. All those electronics are hanging around some athletes' necks.
I reckon they should have virtual medals.
Probably right,
You
because
know?
the value of the medal is not the medal. The value of the medal is the fact that you are an Olympic gold medal winner. That's the whole value.
That's it. You get a certificate anyway.
I've never actually seen the certificate. I've only ever seen them hanging.
You get a certificate and the medal.
Yeah.
So what are they? What is it? Is it the Wimbledon and the other major cups, the plates and the cups and the whatnots? They're recycled. I mean, you have your name put on it, but then the next game comes around the next year and it's handed to the next winner. Why don't they do that for the medals?
Well, they could do that as well. Obviously, you don't get to keep that Wimbledon trophy. It just gets to stay at Wimbledon, and you get to go and look at it every now and again and say, "There's my name, Mum. Look at that."
And you pick up the $2 million check. That's all you need. You don't care for stuff about a plate.
Well, that's right. And the PR value of it obviously is the real value for any athlete. It's not so much anything they get from a prize. They actually get to say, "Hey, I've won this, so my advertising value has just gone up incredibly."
All right, break it down for us, Matty. What is in a mobile or a cell phone that is recyclable? Is it all of it or what?
No, not all of it. There are some parts of it there's probably more cost from an environmental and a financial perspective than the recycling value. But there is gold, because gold is actually a really good conductor. Gold's really easy to work with. So there is gold on that circuit board. Obviously,
pure gold is, yeah.
Pure gold, that's right. There's also silver and bronze that are on there. So when you break those down, you can obviously pull it out. Even a SIM card that goes in your phone, there's a process of recycling those because they've got gold in their contacts. Now, you look at that and you say, well, there's obviously not much gold in there. And they're right, there's not much gold. But if you get 100, 1,000, 10,000 of them, it starts to add up to a reasonable amount of gold. So you've got that sort of thing. The plastics in any of your sort of electronics, the plastics is probably the toughest part. Recycling plastics is pretty difficult. You've really got to do a lot of work to recycle a plastic. And that's where you say, is the value there to go through all that work to recycle the plastics? It's more the metals that are on the circuit board inside that. And then the battery themselves, the lithium, the iron, you can break those batteries down. They're at the point now about 97% of what's in a battery can actually be recycled by breaking that down and then make it into new batteries effectively.
All right, so when I buy a mobile, I don't feel guilty about buying something that can't be recycled. Next time you see your old cell, it may be dangling around the neck of an Olympian. Is that what you're suggesting?
That's exactly right. And the mobile muster, I think you were going to mention that. The mobile muster is a good idea. If you've got some of that old technology sitting around a drawer at home, drop it into any shop that's got mobile muster and let them recycle.
Well done. All right, you can recycle your life today. Have a good one. Thank you, Matthew.
Thanks, Richard.